Hi there, welcome to Long Distance Review. And on this new episode, I'm going to be looking at the brand new album from New Jersey deathcore band Fit for an Autopsy. And the new album's entitled The Sea of Tragic Beasts. This will be Fit for an Autopsy's fifth studio album. They came out in 2011 with their debut entitled Process of Human Extermination. They followed it up in 2013 with Hellbound. And at this point in time, their original vocalist Nate Johnson left the band and was replaced with Joe Badalato, who's the vocalist nowadays. They then released the album Absolute Hope, Absolute Hell in 2015, and then followed up with The Great Collapse, their last album before this one, in 2017. So this will be their third album with Joe on vocals. Now, deathcore itself seems to be in a pretty good place in 2019. Die Artist Murder released a really good album this year, Carnifex released a really good album this year, and Whitechapel released an absolute game changer of an album this year. Really, really stunning album. So I feel like Fit for an Autopsy are in a good place right now. And they themselves have been steadily gaining traction and sort of steadily improving, I think, on every album. Their last album being their best yet. So I was really interested to take a look at this album and see where they are in 2019. So here we go. The album's entitled The Sea of Tragic Beasts. And the album opens up with the title track, which leaves absolutely nothing in the tank. It has these huge bending riffs, these piercing pick scrapes, and it's all accompanied with these sort of pummeling drums and these brutal vocals. The track seems to accelerate in pace as it carries on, right up to the chorus, and then it has this huge breakdown where Joe shouts, "Defend yourself," and they've got this massive breakdown, because what's deathcore without a breakdown? The band themselves have never been afraid to sort of shine a spotlight on the world around them, and they've done it on themes on albums before, and this one's no different. I feel like this album is centered around how bleak and hopeless the world can be around us, and it spits rage and venom at the world. Check out songs like Shepherd and No Man Without Fear to see what I mean. No Man Without Fear has got this incredible drum work on it, by the way. I mean, the drum work's stellar across the album completely, but that track itself has got some amazing drum work right at the start. But I do feel like this album also has a bit of introspection about it at times, especially on the later tracks like Mirrors and Unloved, which I'll come on to, which is something good, and not good, something new maybe that the band haven't done before. The first four tracks though on this album are completely unrelenting in their pace, and they're brutal, and I felt like I'm in for a frantic ride on this album. It's only about 35 odd minutes, the album itself, and I thought this is just going to be blistering from start to finish. Check out like a song like Shepherd, which incorporates the more death metal side of deathcore, and then there's Your Pain Is Mine, which relives the sort of classic deathcore sound. But actually, when Mirrors drops, which is track 5, the album seems to shift gear a little bit, and the pace seems to drop a little bit. Not necessarily the whole pace, but the album becomes a bit more diverse and interesting, I felt. Much like Whitechapel did on The Valley this year, which I feel like is a real partner with this album. They've incorporated atmospherics and mood, and it really, really works. Like I said, like what Whitechapel did on The Valley, they've done the same here, not copied, but they've incorporated much more mood and atmosphere around the album, and it's done to a real, real good success on here. Fit for an Autopsy, I've always had atmosphere, especially on the last album like Great Collapse, but I feel like they pushed it a bit more on this album, and it's really, really paid off for them. A song like Mirrors is bleak and heavy, and Joe's vocals seemingly curdle with blood in the background. But it darts off in these different directions, as it darts off into these blast beats, and then returns right at the end with this crushing, dark, concrete slab it has. Unloved is a track that follows up Mirrors, and it sort of follows suit. It's sort of a 2-minute odd, lurching, grooving monster of a track. Deathcore is always very pigeonholed as a genre. People always say deathcore, all it is chugging riffs and breakdowns, and at its core elements, yeah, that's what deathcore can be. But when you incorporate a lot more diverse and interesting sounds in it, it becomes a much more fascinating genre. And this band have done that on this album, and this album pays off because of it. It's a much more interesting album when the pace sort of drops a bit and they incorporate all these bleak atmospheric elements in it. A song like Mourn is an incredibly infectious song, as the real highlight of the album actually. has these great clean vocals over these huge towering riffs. Clean vocals actually are another point I want to bring up. People will always moan like, oh, they've sold out. There's clean vocals on here, they're sold out, that's the end of it. But it shouldn't matter. Whitechapel did it on the Valley and people whinged and that album was incredible. When songwriting is as good as this, it shouldn't matter that there's clean vocals involved more than they've done before. It doesn't matter. There's enough deathcore on this album to please the original deathcore fans. Songs like Warfare and Your Pain Is Mine. But it has a lot more interesting incorporated sounds in here, which should please the more sort of prog metal fans. Not prog metal as in like, you know, Rush, but I mean like Gojira are a band essentially that I can feel this relates to a lot. The one song I really wanted to bring up right towards the end of the album, a song called Bird of Prey. And I think it's the best thing Fit for an Autopsy have ever put down. It's an incredible song. It's this monstrous track that pushes the 6-minute mark. It doesn't feel long, but it's absolutely huge. It has this massive chugging chorus and this gigantic breakdown towards the end. And it's a fascinating, brilliant track. And I actually thought it was the closing track of the album. Without looking at the track listing when I was listening to it, I thought, oh, this is the last song. It just felt like a finality to that track. And then all of a sudden Napalm Dreams comes in, which is the last track of the album. It feels a bit jarring actually when that comes in at first. It has this strange little off-kilter riff at the start, which just doesn't feel like it should be there. Very minor criticism. It doesn't detract anything from the album at all, which is just a brilliant album, really. Thematically drawing on the hopelessness that we see around us in the world, what Fit for an Autopsy have done is confidently and boldly stepped into 2019 with this album, and they've delivered an absolute gem of an album. It's coupled huge, gigantic, chugging riffs with brilliant songwriting and melodic elements, and it's all come together in what is a really, really, really good album. They've stuck a claim here, I think, for an Album of the Year contender. This is that good. I'm really pleased that they're just going from strength to strength, this band. If you've never heard Fit for an Autopsy before, then go check them out. If you're a fan of Gojira, you will love this, I think. Anyway, let me know what you think of the album, and I'll be back soon with another review. Thanks very much.